Hey, what's going on YouTube? We're back today for another Godhome classroom video, this time focusing on the last of the Nailsage fights, Great Nailsage Sly. Of the three, I found Sly to be the easiest boss to beat on Radiant difficulty, but probably also the most fun. It's a short fight, but a very fast-paced one that once you can master avoiding his attacks, becomes more of a dance than anything else. As always, this video is going to focus on Sly's attacks, and then demonstrate a no-hit run of the fight. I'll once again be showing some footage from my Twitch stream the night that I beat Sly on Radiant, but the strategy and the tips shown are obviously going to work for all the difficulties, and as usual, this content is aimed at helping newer players who might be struggling to learn the boss's moves and movement. To begin, in the Pantheon or on attuned difficulty, Sly has 850 health in his first phase and 250 health in the second phase. For this is going to give him a grand total of 1,050, but on Ascended and Radiant difficulties, this is going to increase to about 1,200 in the first phase and 600 in the second, for a total of 1,800. Worth noting, Sly has the smallest unique moveset of all the Nail Sages, despite the fact that he can use all three of the nail arts. He only has two attacks that are not considered nail arts, and so we'll take a look at those now. The slash combo is where Sly is going to slash at the knight, moving forward each time twice. And if you are close to Sly, he's going to do kind of a rising slash with a buzzsaw type move at the end of it, and then fall back down to the floor. You can safely get in your attacks once the attack ends. As long as he doesn't push you into the wall, this is actually a fairly easy attack to avoid just by simply moving backwards away from the initial slashes and then turning around and dashing under him as he jumps over you to get in some free hits. You can also dash over him, but it is worth noting that since one of his slashes is like an overhead slash, you could potentially get hit. Just don't let him push you into the wall, or you'll generally have nowhere to go but through him, and depending on whether or not your Shade Cloak is on cooldown, that might not be a good thing. His other move is called the Nail Slam. With the Nail Slam, he's going to jump into the air and position himself to be able to slash down at you. He's going to choose where he stops in air based on where you are standing. So if you just back up a little bit once he stops moving, you'll be able to avoid that initial attack. However, worth noting that if you're standing too close to him when he lands, he might follow up with a close range overhead swipe. So you want to be careful not to jump over him again. And if you are standing close by, just kind of be ready to avoid that overhead swipe. This is probably his easiest attack to avoid, as you can simply just move backwards once he stops moving. Just be mindful of the range and the follow-up attack, and you should be able to get a few hits in. Now, as the Great Nailsage himself, Sly can also use all three of the nail arts in his own unique way. The Great Slash is one of his charge moves that he does when he's not standing in the corner. Sly will quickly charge up and then release a close range but long distance attack. This does have a much longer reach than his regular nail slashes. He might get kind of run up and get close to you before he charges, and it's worth noting that if this attack does hit you, it does double damage, but that's not really going to matter much on the Radiant difficulties. We're going to avoid getting hit in the first place. Generally, you just want to kind of scoot back. You could jump over, but it does have kind of impressive vertical range. So just kind of scooting back, dashing away, dashing through him, lots of those things. If you've learned how to parry, you can technically parry. I wouldn't recommend trying, but you could. Better just to get away from it, right? The name of the game with Sly is just keep your distance. The other charge move that Sly has is a little different from Great Slash. Sly is going to hop into the corner and then charge up and then run at you before slashing. This is his dash slash. This is one of those ones that you really just want to jump up in the air and avoid it. He's going to cover up most of the floor either with his attack or his running animation. So it's really best just to just be up in the air, high up in the air, double jump, get out of the way, and like double jump and dash, and then you can kind of avoid it. You kind of want to watch for him to jump into the corner. If he's already standing in the corner, he will still jump up and place himself in the corner to charge. Just be ready to get out of the way by jumping. His last attack is the Cyclone Slash. Sly will always charge the Cyclone Slash in mid-air. He'll kind of jump and float for a second, charging up, and then spin around. You can technically pogo off of Sly as he's spinning, but it's really risky because his like individual hitbox is like so small compared to the spinning blade part. So you really have to like nail him like dead on, and then like ideally you would just get out of the way. I tend to just like skip hitting him altogether and just dash out of the way to get ready to like attack him when he's on his way down. But this attack does last for a long time, and he moves a lot more than Macho did when Macho did this attack. So you got to be ready to dodge and avoid it, because Nail is much more mobile. Our Sly is much more mobile. Worth noting, Sly will stagger 2 to 3 times during the fight, and these are great opportunities to heal or hit him with the Dream Nail for soul, or just take a breather from his attacks. The stagger does last long enough to get like 2 heals in, or 3 if you're using like the quick focus charms. Yeah, usually 2 or 3, depending on how you're set up. Pretty good. Once you do enough damage, though, Sly will stagger one last time, and when he does, rather than throwing his nail backwards, he'll throw it up in the air and then dash off screen. A couple seconds later, he'll pop back up in the middle of the screen, catch his nail, and now we're in phase 2, and this is where you see his final attack. This is called Frenzy. Sly is going to zip around the arena 2 to 5 times before dashing towards you. He kind of makes different grunting sounds when he does, but when he's charging at you, he will kind of slow down in preparation to kind of turn into that like buzzsaw type move. Once his buzzsaw stops moving, he's got an open window for you to attack him, but the range on it is definitely like big. So you have to definitely get close to him in order to hit him during that very small window. So if you use like one of your own nail arts that has good range, or if you use a spell, or if you've got like Mark of Pride and Long Nail, you can usually get a couple hits in there. But it's worth noting that this pattern just kind of repeats itself. So it's just going to go and go and go until the fight's over. And this is going to be the whole fight. So the second phase is much shorter than the first phase, and you can usually get this done in a couple of rotations of him doing his little animation. All you have to do is just make a slight move backwards. You don't want to do too much. If you correct too much, you won't be able to get hit. So just make a slight move away and then get a couple hits in, and then you'll be done. Now let's take a quick look at the charms that I used for this fight. That way we can see how I went for it. I opted again for an overcharmed build. This time using Grubberfly's Elegy and Mark of Pride to create distance and keep up the pressure. So because of that, I'm not really going to do like the nail art thing. I'm just gonna hit Sly with my nail beams, because this is a radiant fight, right? So this works really well. It doesn't really generate a lot of soul, so I will use like the Dream Nail sometimes to get soul on the staggers and things like that, or just kind of push through it. I've got Quick Slash there to do as many hits as I can using the beams again, and Unbreakable Strength to do as much damage with the beams and the nail hits that I can. It's worth noting again that Grubberfly's Elegy does not give you soul when you hit with a nail beam, so that's why I'm using, potentially using the Dream Nail to get soul for spells or things like that. I'm not really healing because again this is a radiant fight. Let's take a look, though, at the footage from my live stream. I'm going to go ahead and edit that in. This is a fairly quick fight. Really only took me a couple tries when I did this on stream, but let's take a look now. Which I feel like is a little silly, but All right, final rush here. I got almost full magic. Yeah. Bow. And there you have it. With that, we've now done videos on all the final bosses of Pantheons 1 through 4. And from here, I do plan to do a video on Absolute Radiance, as it's the only final Pantheon boss that I have left. And then I'm going to move on and do some of the other bosses that I simply find fun or interesting. But if you find this interesting too, let me know in the comments. And let me know what bosses you want to see me cover, or let me know if there's like a specific charm build you want to see me use to fight that boss. You know, hit up those comments and do your thing. But until then, have fun in Hollow Nest and have a great weekend, because it's Friday afternoon where I am when I'm recording this. Take care, guys.